Grab your star-spangled banners. Ladies and gentlemen, it is week 2 of the Octane Online Racing European Sprint Series from upstate New York here at Watkins, Glen. Hello, everybody. My name is Nick Amon, and I want to welcome you back to the broadcast, and also welcoming to the booth Mr. Kevin Parody and Mr. Simon Bauer. Gentlemen, how are we doing this evening?
Oh, I'm exceptionally well. I'm looking forward to this a lot. It'll time I've watched this level of racing on this particular track. I'm looking forward to seeing it.
And good evening from me as well. All is good. I'm looking forward to giving my new mic its first test. I'm looking forward to, well, watching my first race at Watkins Glen.
Well, good to hear you boys are doing well, and of course, Simon, the new mic. I would pop the champagne, but I don't have any, unfortunately, at the moment. I could get some, but too lazy to go out. So, we have some new faces here on track, rather. Let me bring up the HUD here, make things a little bit easier to see. So, most of the drivers you're seeing on screen right now, they were here last week, but a couple of new additions. The first one being Ryan Cuthbert for Sorry in Advance. Good name. Driving in the number 13 McLaren, currently sitting P9 here in the practice session. And then we move down a little bit. David Michaels for BMW, making his sprint season debut here for Europe. Nello Ferreira, another driver from Portugal. I think we've had a few of these in the last couple of races. I think, do we have one in North American split, or am I just imagining things?
You'll have to ask me later on tonight after I've had a chance to look at that entry list.
All right, fair enough. All right, never mind then. Ian Barton for High Life Racing in the Mercedes, another debutant here. And then Mick Skellikins, just, there you go. This is one of the administrative staff members here at the OOR, so, I mean, a solid spin out, if I do say so myself.
One of the big bosses, so be careful. Be well behaved.
I mean, that's a very good introduction. It's like, hey, here's the new guy to the Sprint Series, also kind of one of the higher ups here, and spins out. All right, good start. And then that's pretty much it for the drivers who are joining us for the first time. Everyone else you see that we didn't mention has already been here, so they'll be looking to either continue their campaign and grab another win, or look for their first. Cuello has his first win from last week, as does Valiant, so they'll be looking to, you know, maybe stack another one here in this 1 hour race. Now, I know, Simon, you haven't really been to the Glen. Kevin, I'm assuming you've been going over this track day in and day out for the last week.
Yes, and oh boy, I wish it paid off more than it has, but we'll see that tonight too. It is so interesting. It's so fast, and there's no real, I mean, you know, there's sort of a hairpin, but only because there's no really tighter corner on the track. It is so quick and so much fun and so old school. I love every second of it.
Yeah, it's one of my top 3 all-time favorite tracks. I'll be honest, I ended up getting iRacing specifically so I could drive at Watkins Glen once I got my driver license up enough, and then Kuno's just like, hey, guess what? DLC in America, you're welcome. Speaking of DLC in America, this is the first of 3 rounds in the United States, so we're here at Watkins Glen, and then it won't be until the end of August where we head down to Texas for the COTA race, and then over to Indianapolis the week after. But we are hopping into qualifying. So this will be a qualifying session for the 1 hour of sprint race. So drivers will be forced to have a mandatory pit stop at some point. What is the pit strategy here? I have no idea.
I'm waiting patiently to hear from somebody with way more experience than me on this, because I'd like to hear this opinion too.
Okay, so Simon?
I am completely unfamiliar with the Glen, unfortunately, so I don't know how much tire wear is going to factor into this. I mean, I've heard from people that due to it being a very, very fast track, tire wear is a pretty big deal. But we do have a single 1 hour race tonight, do we?
Yes, we do.
Yes.
Okay, in that case, we have a mandatory pit stop in the middle. That's gotta be all the drivers will need. Technically, they could do the full hour without a pit stop, but I think they definitely will appreciate that little tire break or a tire renewal in the middle. So, still gotta be careful not to, well, torture the tires too much. But I don't think that's gonna be a huge topic today with the mandatory pit stop.
No, the tires on they do burn off real quick here, especially if you're trying real hard, real early. I know in Discord it seems to be the consensus somewhere between halfway and probably not more than 60% of the way in is when a lot of these drivers, or at least the North American drivers, are thinking of making their stops. Often you'd go a little deeper than that, but with the tire wear, there's a lot more people thinking cut this race in half and try and get as little graining as you can.
Yeah, I mean the standard strategy would be to cut the race exactly in half, because that's how you maximize your pace and your tire life on both of those tire sets. But of course, most of these drivers will be throwing a little bit of strategy into the mix and maybe try to undercut their rivals, maybe try to overcut them, maybe try to, well, stay out longer or come in earlier to avoid traffic, all that sort of stuff.
All the stuff that makes it worth going racing, so we can see how it all plays out.
Well,
what I'm very excited to see tonight is, well, what I've heard is that turn 1 itself isn't all that dangerous here on lap 1, but directly following turn 1 we have these flat, long sweepers that are banked and are very, very fun to go through, but very dangerous to go through side by side. So that's gonna be something to watch out for on the first lap.
I think our drivers will be able to handle it. I mean, these guys, you know, in a pub lobby, I can, you know, probably argue that, yeah, it's a little bit more dangerous, but, you know, this is an organized league. These are guys who, they know what they're here for. They've probably had a bit of time on top of the race from last week to sort of figure each other out. I'm sure they've been hopping in servers and maybe driving together. So I don't think it'll be too much of an issue, but it will definitely be something to watch out for, especially with the chaos that unfolds at the start of pretty much any race.
And honestly, they were very well behaved last time around, but that is nothing unusual to see in the first round of a championship, so we'll see if they can hold it up.
Well, I'm really looking forward to the point a little bit later in the lap, and I mean a little bit later, at the end of the back stretch, the first time we go into the inner loop and outer loop. I'm looking forward to this. You know, like you said, these guys are good, and we're going to see how good at that point, because they're going to be low tire pressures. They may still be side by side coming down that back stretch. Some folks are going to have to make the discretion being the better part of valor decision, and I'm really looking forward to see how pros like this handle that.
Well, probably a little bit better than any of us could manage. I don't know. I would be real with you. I'm not the most skillful sim racer. I'm not a pro rated by any means. I was pro-am when I raced. That was a while ago, so yeah. But we got times coming in. It's Valiant on top right now with a 43.322, and then it's Parks quite a distance back with a 44.75, and then Quilio with that 44.9. And as I say that, Matty Sack coming in with a 44.9. So only one driver to crack below the 44s, but I'm certain we'll see some more of that as time commences. Especially, it's odd that the top two drivers, never mind, 1 and 3 are in Ferraris, as Walker splits them with that 44.6. So it's interesting to see Felion so far ahead already.
This is times similar to what we were seeing in practice. 43.3, I think, was right near the end of what they were running. So I'm not surprised to see that. I'm waiting to see, let's just say the rest of the field was a lot closer than that in practice. I'm waiting to see till everybody gets a real fast lap in.
And speaking of Felgen's impressive lap times, let's see if we can seed a little controversy. Who do you guys think will be taking pole? Is it Felgen? Is it someone else?
Ooh, that's a good question. Wow, I don't know. That's tough. I mean, I don't have any reason to doubt our you know, current pole sitter by any means, especially because the gap is just a hair over a second. Oh god, I would be surprised if someone ripped the rug out from under the feet of the number 17.
I'm thinking, surely Coelho hasn't put in a perfectly representative lap yet. Looking at the last round, I think those two, Felgen and Coelho, definitely were setting the status quo. So I think we're gonna see some more from Coelho, but I'm not sure if we'll see enough to push Felgen off the top step.
In practice, we did have 3 Ferraris right at the top of that stack. I was kind of surprised when I saw that. I mean, I thought about it a little bit, and there's not a lot of big curves on this track, so it makes sense that that car works here.
Well, there's still about 8.5 to go as we talk about the man himself. He is out on circuit, was just in the pits making a few adjustments, a little over 1 1/3 seconds, so we'll see how our friend Nelson can manage. I will say, as we were talking about, you know, the first couple of corners and how it's kind of dangerous to go side to side, how do you guys feel about side by side through the bus stop?
Well, going into the bus stop,
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
gotta
going
be
into the bus
nerve-wracking. I mean, if you can stay side by side through the entire bus stop, that would be a sight to see. But hey, as I said, I haven't driven here. I can't speak from experience, but I've gone into other wild corners side by side, so I wouldn't, well, say anything against going side by side into the bus stop.
Kevin?
No, I think as long as you trust that driver that you're going in there with, and you know them, you know what they're going to do, you know they're not going to wash out, or if they do, it's, you know, it's not intentional. They're not going to overdrive this. Then sure, like that's just, it'll be half a lap before portions of my anatomy unpucker. But sure, let's go through there side by side.
Oh, you got a bit of an update. Fellion finally into the 42, so the 42.9. So barely under that 43 mark. I saw, who was it in chat earlier? It was Ron R saying that P1 in rookies was a 43 flat. So, you know, I gotta agree with Quasar though. Not gonna stay in rookies for long, that's for sure. But we'll see. We still got a little over 6 minutes. So we'll see. Walker up, improving. P2 of 43.8, still 0.8 back. So, I mean, this is quite the gap we've got going on here, and not a lot of people are up on their deltas. A couple of green numbers here on the controller, but a lot of red.
I think it's looking less and less likely that someone will be able to put Felgen off the top step, because that is an impressive time. And it's looking like Felgen is pretty pleased with that, because he is currently in the pits, and I haven't seen him come out of the pits just yet. So maybe he's said, that's enough, that's the best I can do, I'm happy with that. And to be honest, I would be happy with that as well.
I would too, yeah. You know, get out of the driver's seat, go back into the paddock, maybe kick up your feet, have a drink, whatever it may be. Just get ready for some more racing, but most of these drivers I mean, there's really not a lot. Skiing, driver who we, and when I say we, I mean everyone but our friend Simon here, struggled to say last week, but you know, there's that. Currently sitting in P12, although he is up on his last lap by 0.2, so this should put him up into 9th, so a top 10 start for the Bentley. Very good improvement for him. And then a lot of 0.2s down, a lot of default 37 or 32.7 second deltas just for people who are sitting in pits. Who else? Skelikins here from the Netherlands, half a second up, so this could put him just outside of the top 10, and it will number 13 for the Ferrari. So yeah, I don't think anyone's getting Fellion anytime soon.
I think we have a disconnect. I think Suck has just dropped off the server, so... Well, that's unfortunate for him. Probably won't be... Well, he might just get back into the server in time to put in another lap, but that's definitely gonna hurt his quali.
Hopefully Sack doesn't get sacked this race, because he's been one of the stronger drivers here. He came out of last week's race in P10. So the only... Or not the only, but the I think the only German, the only German driver in the top 10. The other one was Vischer. Vischer currently sitting in P15, so it'll be interesting to see if Sack does get back in time. Oh, there's a Mercedes off in the background. That appears to be Vining, one of the familiar faces. And, oh, there he is. He's back, Matty Sack. He's back to attack like that. I'm running out of rhymes.
Definitely got time to get in a lap so that we don't have Sack from the back, I guess.
Hey, there you
jump
go.
on the bandwagon.
Simon, do you want to add on, or are you all set?
I've got nothing more.
Too bad. Well, Sack is currently P11, 2.002 seconds off of the pace. Valiant, though, still with that 42.9. Walker out on track for Aston Martin. Speaking of Aston Martin, did you guys see the news from F1?
Oh, absolutely.
The discussion of who's going to get a certain seat from a certain former world champion.
4-time world champion. Get it right.
I specifically didn't say a number just so that I didn't get it wrong.
Let him know. Yeah, no, I woke up and I was like, oh, check the phone. I'm like, oh, let's look at what's on TikTok because I'm a Gen Zer. First thing I saw, first thing as I opened the app was Sebastian Vettel's retiring. I'm like, and my day is ruined. Great.
Yeah, it was
awesome.
hard to miss. And it is also hard to take, but I think it was pretty inevitable.
Yeah, it is, unfortunately.
It can't be fun running around at the back when you're used to being the top dog. I get it. And a lot of drivers, some drivers have managed to turn teams around that they've gone to. But I think in this super high tech, especially with this year's car, I don't even know if that's possible anymore for a driver to completely turn a team around.
It would take a lot, that's for sure. I mean, we have seen teams bump up the grid and reshuffle things in the off-season with these new regulations, which is great to see. But, yeah, no, like you said, it's kind of hard for a driver to completely turn a team around. So hopefully, best of luck for Vettel. I don't know who's going to replace him, though. That's going to be the question. I think Mullick should do it. I think he should do it. Imagine that, Mr. Mullick behind the wheel of an F1 car.
I imagine out of the almost 8 billion people on the planet, there's probably about 7.6 billion of them that will stick their hand up in the air and say, I'll have a go.
Mullick is one of them.
Yeah, well, yep. But what we need to see is if anybody can get close to a 42.9. This is almost sitting in the pits in gloating time.
Well, we're currently with Ryan Walker, who's still 2/10 down on himself. He's been struggling to beat that 43.8, much less a 42.9. That's still an insanely fast time. He'll have one more shot at this, though, at the end of the lap. So we'll hop around a little bit. Sven Fischer, currently 3/10 up about, so that would be possibly a P13 start, or no, sorry, not a P13. That'd be an incredible end for a P13 start, but we're looking at about a P14 for the German driver. Daniel Parks out on track as well, 4/10 up. So this could be a 43 unless he gets held up by Vining here. Vining appears to be on a flying lap as well, so we'll actually stick with these two until the start-finish line. So it shouldn't be too much of a problem, and they will also get another round. So we'll see if anyone can even compete with the Norwegian.
And if not, at least we'll see who's going to fill out the rest of that top 10. If we take that one out of the equation, we're within a second from second back to ninth.
Parks upgrading himself to a P3. We got some cars parked on the side, so right now we'll just ride with Granias, another Ferrari driver here, currently 3/10 up. So this would be enough for... This could possibly be a P2 start for the number 23, if he can get the rest of this lap sorted out.
Oh, these last three corners, there's a lot of ways to get them wrong, and only one way to get them all right. So if we can do that, we can certainly see a shuffle in that front row.
Just have to wait and see. Looks like Granius has lost a little bit of time. Actually lost that 3/10 he was working with. He's currently even, so across the line he goes. And does go up to P3 at least with a 44.03, so that's very good for him. Parks and Sack. Oh no, sorry, Sack's not out on track. It looks like Ferraria is out on track. The last one out. Parks having to abort his lap as he went wide, and there it is, ladies and gentlemen. Valiant on top by quite a margin, 0.8 of a second.
I hate to have to mention it, but Coelho, our winner from the first race, 1.5 seconds down on pole, down in P8. Now, he holds the fastest first sector, but I've been watching him run his laps for a while now, and that Audi does not seem comfortable. It seems to have a very loose rear end, so hard to say if the Audi is just not a car for this track. Maybe he's not happy with the setup, maybe he just hasn't had enough practice time. But we'll see if he can make up a few positions in the race. He definitely has the experience and the racecraft to do so, but let's see if he has the pace.
Well, right now it's Ferrari occupying those top spots, actually. The out of the entire first 2 rows, it's going to be Italians with the one British manufacturer splitting them up. And then back a little bit you go, and I believe the lowest timed Ferrari is the number 39. So that, I feel like that goes to show you just how good the Ferrari can be here at Watkins Glen. Another, like you said, the Audi probably struggling a little bit, but we'll have to wait and see how things play out in the race. Unfortunately, we are missing one very important car today, and it makes me very upset. It's the safety car. There is no safety car. My day has been ruined.
Oh dear.
My expectations were low. They have not been met. No.
So our pole sitter will be setting the pace for the pace lap. Is that how that's going to work?
Yes, the pole sitter will be the pace car, and then should there be a caution and a safety car, we'll enact a sort of virtual safety car for the field, and then Felion will have control of the field. It's basically just like running a race start here, but with a couple of changes. But we'll just have to wait and see how things pan out. If there is going to be an incident, hopefully there isn't. Cars are getting down off the jacks as we speak, so we should be having them all roll away here. Let's take a quick peek and see just how much time is left. 54 seconds. So, gentlemen, looking at this field, besides Felion, of course, who would be your car to watch?
I'm gonna have my eyes on Walker for sure, leading very impressively the Pro-Am fields, and, well, in P2 overall. So he's one to watch. Personally, I'm gonna be rooting, I'm gonna be honest, for Cuthbert. Not only because he's a new entry, but also because he's rocking my racing number. So how could I not root for him?
I'm actually going to be watching Coelho on this. I think that driver skill level, the Audi and the sad face that they made in chat makes me think that they fixed their issue, and that potentially the handling issue in the quali setup. But I'm really looking forward to seeing how far forward they can get from 8th.
I'll have to wait and see as everyone starts pulling off the line. It'll be Felion on top with Ryan Walker, Granius, Parks, and Viney making up that top 5. Guerrero, Hearn, Coelho, Cuthbert, and Skion for your top 10 drivers. And if I had to answer the question of who do I think, I might put Parks there, just because he had some pretty good pace in qualifying. Unfortunately, had to drop out of a few laps just because of track limits. So I think he could maybe make something happen, especially again with that Ferrari, just how good it is here at the Glen. But only time will tell what can happen. But we have to get ready for the inevitable, that being the race start. So everyone up currently behind the quote-unquote safety car. Granted, it is the right color, so we could argue maybe Felion's one of the safety car drivers.
Ooh.
A little bit of OOR lore there for you. I don't know.
Yes.
He's probably not.
Very unstig.
Yeah, very unstig. Yeah, looking through the field, though, we still have a few drivers yet to get a rating. Parks, Guerrero, and Hendrickson have yet to get ratings. So hopefully in due time they will get that. But for right now, the heads of the OOR have said no thank you. We are currently still assessing. We'll let you know as soon as we can. And hopefully they do get those, because I do like the color silver, but it kind of, I feel like it could be red or black or white, you know. A little bit of...
As I understand it, that's going to be more or less finalized at the end of this week's racing. The idea, again, as I understand it, was that the first 2 weeks would be, you would register for where you thought you should be, and then after the end of the first 2 weeks, those would be evaluated and judged and changed where necessary. So those that didn't have a great first race and want to be in program have got that opportunity to show their colors again this week.
Well, we do have a bye week next week, so that'll give people time. And, well, look who joins us. The safety car. Better late than never. But right now, we've got to get ready. We've got to get ready here for an hour. Oh, what's up?
That's interesting. Somebody's upside down, inverted, and stuck in the track.
Oh, that is a connection issue as far as I'm concerned. So hopefully we'll have
definitely messed up the order for the starting grid.
It absolutely
did.
did.
You can know that you're ghosted all you want. When that happens in your cockpit, you're going to twitch.
Well, it's green here at the Glen. It's Fellion with a great launch, along with Walker. Grania is already making up positions. Parks falling down as we go into turn number 1 here. Some 3x3 and 2x2. So that first turn, there's the Audi of Quailio going into the wall. He picks up Cuthbert with him, and the entire field darts away. We're going into turns 2, 3, and 4 through those very long, sweeping, banked corners. Fellion trying to use all of the horsepower under that hood to pull away, but Walker in the slipstream, he is going to be catching right up. We've got Vining way off on the track. This is not the iRacing Spa 24-hour. You cannot use the grass to gain an advantage, and through the bus stop we go, and we have one of the Ferraris, I believe that is Skelkins, off, taking to the escape road, but everyone else, and as I say that, Hendrickson hard into the wall.
Well, as much as I don't believe in the caster's curse, 2 of the 3 people that were mentioned as the people to watch at the start of this race did not make it to the end of the backstretch.
And it wasn't mine that got caught up.
Nope.
So boys,
yours is still going.
Let's go, Parks. I've got it. I got my money on you. I need to make this house payment. But what a start we've had. You know, like we said, that first turn is not really an issue for these drivers, as we see Michaels down the inside of Hearn for that P5. But once we got to turns 2 and 3 and to the bus stop, things started to kick off, and now we've got just about an hour to go. 1 mandatory pit stop for everybody. Quailio in the pits.
Quailio has teleported to the pits indeed right after that starting crash. He had a lot of trouble going back onto the road, and I think he hit the wall another time, so he definitely picked up a bunch of damage and probably decided it's best to return to the pits, let his car get properly repaired, and then, well, do the whole thing again with a cleared head. But he's definitely going to be stuck there a long time in the pits, and he's, well, already a lap down now.
I think it's about, what, 3.5 minutes for repairs, if I remember correctly, if you teleport straight back?
It depends on the damage, but teleporting itself definitely takes a lot of time. I think teleporting alone gives you 2 minutes or something around that.
I believe it's 2 or 2.5, and then your damage on top of that, and yes, there will be a lot. True to my word, I was watching Coelho, and yes, the incident itself was followed up by a number of other bangs and crashes trying to get back on the road. So it wouldn't surprise me if there's 4 or 5 minutes of damage on top of the tow time.
Beautiful move from Michaels there, yeah, well, into the bus stop.
Yeah, just got along the inside of Hearn. So I think Michaels and Hearns, they may be butting heads here, the two Britons. And right behind them is Skian, who is currently sitting in P7 in the boat. So hopefully a speedboat, maybe some Hydro Thunder here. God, I miss that game so much. I don't know if you guys played it, but that game was, that was the best. But Fellion, let's just take a look out the back and, where is everybody? Where did they go? Oh, there they are. They are quite a ways back. If that doesn't show you the absolute beast this man is here on this circuit, I don't know what is. Ryan Walker still having to defend from Granius, who hasn't let up yet. And Parks is down in 13th, so that is not good. Must have been some incident earlier. May have been the off-road at the bus stop. This little 3-pack starting to form, and then you go back to 5th place is where it looks like the conductor's collecting tickets, and we may be rolling out of the station here with these guys in due time. But for right now, everything's starting to calm down a bit.
We've already seen it. This track is very much different from Kialami last week in that it is a brand new track. And overall pace isn't going to be as important here as last time. Since it is such a brand new track, a lot of people don't have a lot of experience here and mistakes will be common. So the most important thing is who will, well, be able to stay clear of those mistakes and not necessarily who will be the fastest car on track.
It's true. Oh, we've got a little bit of, not the Red Sea getting split, but the Green Sea being split there, as we have what appeared to be Parks going off. I hope not, because that just sort of ruins everything for me. We had a nice little side-by-side with Partez and Ferraria through turns 2 and 3. Very, very brave moves. Ferraria was a little bit later on the brakes into the bus stop, but unfortunately it did not pan out. And Quilio back out on track, 2 laps down, so it must have been pretty significant damage. So he has a lot of work to do here now that that Audi is back up and running. And the pit window has opened up, so for the next 50 minutes, drivers have a chance to go in. As long as they get that tire change done within that window, they won't be penalized. But yeah, I'll be looking around the, you said it was what, the 30-minute mark?
That's when a lot of them, yeah, that's when a lot of them seem to want to split this one more down the middle than some others, just because of the potential tire wear.
Oh, we've got quite the display going on here. Ferraria and Partez again coming down the front straight, door to door here. Partez on the outside, and it even looks like the McLaren of Cairns wants to get in on this, but just can't find some real estate to work with. Down the inside goes the Audi, and this may potentially open up the door for Cairns to take advantage of this, but has to slot in behind, but he will have that slipstream. So through turns 2 and 3 we go. There's that long sweep. The nice little bank to get some more rotation in your car. And as we come up to the bus stop, we're going to see what can happen. It's Ferraria having to defend, and Partez, despite having the inside line, not able to make the move stick.
That bus stop or inner loop or whatever it is you like to call it, sometimes it's just a swear word under your breath, but it is, oh, it's like playing chicken with a mirror, just heading into that corner knowing how late and how little you actually need to brake. And oh, if you get it right, it's wondrous, because those curbs are low and you hardly feel them, especially in some of the cars. But it is so easy to get it wrong, and if you do, you're out of shot. So,
absolutely.
And it's turning out to be a very popular overtaking spot already, mostly because of that long, flat-out acceleration zone just beforehand. And by the way, we do already have our first valid pit stop in the form of Daniel Parks, who has already completed his mandatory pit stop. Well, it's definitely going to get him clear of the traffic, although he's coming out right behind the leader, or right in front of the leader, so he actually does have to slow down a tiny bit and let him past. But if he can pick up the pace or keep the pace, he definitely has a lot of free air to, well, put his pace into the track now. On the other hand, he now has to carry that set of tires for 54 minutes, which isn't going to be that fun around here, probably.
I can't imagine trying to get that 35 or 40. And again, I'm not at this level, but 35 or 40 for these pro drivers seems to be where people are pushing it. We'll see.
Very close there from Sack.
Side by side again down that straight. This is another way to make that pass. Get it done before you get to that bus stop. That was quite the move from Ferreira on Partez.
Ian Barton, one of the new debutants here at least. Missed last week's race, so we will count this race as the debut. Currently P15, having to deal with Vischer behind in that BMW. These two could possibly go at it, and as I say that, of course, Cassius Curtis, the thing, Vischer telling me to stop talking and show that, no, we're not fighting just yet. Maybe later. So it looks like right now, from maybe Ferraria down to Karen's could be the battle to watch, as right now Felion almost 4 seconds up on Walker, and then Michaels and Skian, and that's about what we have for the moment. Hendrickson into the pits. I think this may be for damage. Let's see if we can... Oh yeah, this is for damage. You can see the hood is popped up a little bit too much.
That is also going to count as, you know, a valid pit stop. So if he is able to stay out until the end, then he doesn't have to stop another time for tires.
No, and there he goes off into the world. So we'll see. Still 50 minutes, but I'm sure these drivers don't want to be out on tires for that long. So we'll have to see. Casper Lair right now under attack from Humans in the BMW as we go through turns 2 and 3 again, but just a little too far back, not close enough for the slipstream. So for the time being, number 27 is safe, but we could potentially see a change should these laps come through. Right now, Lair's last lap was a 46.34, and Humans was a 46.38. So these two are definitely close enough to each other to keep things interesting, but for right now, they are just going to keep on cruising. You see a little bit of front end damage on that BMW.
We've got, it's starting to spread out here and there, but we just had a spectacular run all the way from the out loop all the way down to the toe of the boot between Michaels and Skyen, and that was exceptional racing.
Unfortunate that we missed it, but Skyen definitely not done yet. He knows there's time. He knows he can probably get Michaels back in the coming laps right now, as he does have the slipstream. David Michaels knows this. So we head down into the final couple of corners. Getting the penultimate corner right is one of the most satisfying feelings. And even the second, and even the final corner, you just run the car out as wide as you can, almost kissing the wall, but not quite. And there's the slipstream coming into effect, but just not close enough for Skyen to take advantage, just too far back.
Very careful into that first corner from Skyen. A bit too wide into that first corner from Michaels, or out of the first corner. So I'm not actually sure how difficult it is to stay within track limits here, or how hard it is to avoid a track limit penalty. But that might be factoring into this race as well, because it is a long race.
One of the discussions with this DLC is track limits. Most people want to talk about COTA and how unbelievably strict they are there. And the white line is the white line, and that's all there is to it. I'm not knocking it; it's just different. But at the other end of the spectrum is the Glen. Watkins, especially in that first corner, as long as you've got tires on that wide orange and yellow patch, you are considered on the track.
It's definitely something I've questioned a little bit. I know that the Glen is famous for having some pretty wide track limits, but yeah, COTA, I did maybe a lap or two, and I'm like, no, I'm gonna deal with this later. I got a lot of time before it actually becomes a problem here for OOR, so I'll just wait, because I do tend to get a couple of laps in around these circuits, just so I can kind of get an idea of what's going on. Unless it's something like the Glen or Spa or Bathurst, where it's like I have a lot of practice, I know what's going on, you know, it's not a huge deal. But I haven't even touched Indy. Have not even touched it. And speaking of touching, it's skiing with a touchdown to that wall. We were talking about it earlier, getting as far as you can to the, or as close as you can to the wall, and you sort of just make a little mistake as we go door to door here. Daniel Hearn almost had the move done on the Bentley down the inside, but he will be maintaining very, very close speed here as we swing on through these corners down towards the bus stop, and there it is. He's going to just tuck in behind, and he's going to use that slipstream to make a pass here potentially. He's creeping
that
closer.
Bentley is going to have the straight line speed advantage, but yeah, even if Hearn is in the slipstream, you can see that Porsche just doesn't have the legs on the straights.
Oh, hold on, sorry. We've got Vining off here. Let's see if we can catch it. So sorry to cut you off there, and it looks like, ooh, interesting. I think he had a little bit of maybe a little bit of oversteer halfway through the bus stop, and then just got onto the grass and the curb and just lost it. Thankfully, not collecting anybody.
As fast as you're going there, and as early as you can know that you have messed it up, there's a lot of time to think about it as your car is sliding sideways and you're trying to recover. And it is recoverable, but you're going to lose at least some positions, and your tires are going to have absolutely no respect for you from that point on in that stint. Yeah, the speed of that so-called chicane is a little frightening.
It is a chicane. What are you talking about? It's the, I don't know what the definition of the chicane is, but it definitely is that, as far as I'm concerned. But no, it is definitely kind of terrifying to go through. Even when you have a car that usually excels through those kind of corners, you're still a little bit wary.
And it just begs you to do it hard, because the curbs are so low, and you've got, unless you've got a really bouncy car, you can just, again, curbs count as tracks. So as long as you're touching orange and yellow through there or in the air, you're just fine. Speaking of which, we've got somebody else. Do I make the move or don't I? That's between Skian and Hearn. That race is definitely not over yet.
The battle for P4 rages on. It seems to go from P4 to P5. Hearn with a bit of a mistake, probably a little before the bus stop, or maybe the bus stop is what's added onto it. So he's currently about 3/4 of a second back. Not really close enough, but definitely within striking distance. Skeletons having to deal with the charging Vining. Vining dropped down to P9 and currently working his way back up. Still plenty of time, so there's no need to rush just yet. And Cuthbert heading into the pits here, 44.5 to go.
Ooh, that's still early for me if there's no damage. I can understand that if the held up, and they are still bunched up enough that there's huge amounts of open track if you want to rejoin, but 45 minutes on these tires is going to be a challenge.
Definitely some solid damage on the Mercedes of Vining there. But the Mercedes is one of those cars that can deal pretty well with damage, and as we can already see, he does still have the pace to, well, make his way up the field. But I would expect him to be coming in a bit earlier than most people due to that damage. Same thing with Skøyen. Although his damage is definitely lighter than the damage on Vining, and it does not seem to be bothering him at all as well. He's still very much keeping pace with Michaels. He's already getting closer again in this acceleration zone. He might be close enough for a little move into the bus stop again. But we've seen that little move a few times now, and he's never gotten quite close enough. Same as here.
No move just yet, and looks like Hearn. This is just a little bit of a yo-yo effect for Skøyen. Just he catches up with one car, loses the Bentley somewhere, and then has to deal with the car behind. But he gets an excellent launch there, and he's trying to make it around the outside, not quite close enough. And there is Hearn once again to try and pick up these scraps. In the inside defensive line goes the Bentley. Gonna force the Porsche the long way around. Nothing quite yet. These guys, I think we're gonna be seeing some horns locked for the duration of this race.
There's a beautiful German saying somewhat along the line of, when two are fighting, the third is happy. And the third right now is definitely Hearn. So if Skøyen and Michaels continue to fight like this, there might very well be an opportunity very soon for Hearn to pick up one of those places.
Yeah, these three don't need any help. They're having a little race all amongst them. I would watch from now to the end the way this is going. Starting to stretch out at the front. Belgians over 7 seconds. They've got to be in cruise mode by now. Behind them, we got a couple little groups still, but this bunch here, these are the three that are constantly making moves. And again, like we're seeing here, defensive driving into the marbles, and maybe inevitably wide on the next corner. And once again, Hearn's just picking a lane, just deciding who to follow. When this is all over.
Oh
no.
Jeez. Skiing having to do a little bit of fancy, fast movements there to avoid contact. We almost had 3 wide there. There's Hearn just on that rear left quarter panel, and they're all just going to slot back into place. These guys, this is going to get very, very interesting. and even Sack getting in on this, despite being quite a ways back. These three have been fighting for a while. I don't know if there's a German saying for 4 people, but if there isn't, there definitely is now. There's a bit of contact there, a little love kiss on the back of the BMW from Skian. And again, just getting really close to the cars in front. Almost another tap there. I've heard of kissing ass, but that's a little ridiculous.
This is beautiful to watch, and I gotta say, that was an impressive save from Skian back in, I'll call it turn 3, not sure which turn it actually was, but that's, I definitely saw him in the wall already there, and he managed to keep it out of it, despite such a high-speed slide.
Absolutely, and look at even Vining as well. Vining getting around Skelikins at some point off camera, so this battle for P4 that was originally 3 is looking potentially like 5, and if Skyans can catch up, we could have 6 people fighting for 1 position by the end. These guys putting on quite the show.
We're not even halfway through, and even behind us, we've got the 27 and the 118 nose tail behind that. There's another pack of 3 cars, another pack of 2 behind that, and then another pack of 3 towards the rear. Everybody except for our leader and a couple
seconds.
top 4 have got something to play with for the rest of this race. So, but right now, yeah, I don't know about you guys, but my eyes are glued to this fight for 4th through 7th now.
This is getting very, very spicy. Michaels with that defensive line will be giving a bit of a slipstream for Hearn down into the bus stop chicane. Are we going to see 3 wide? No, we're not, but we're going to see 2x2 in the background as we see the Aston Martin of Sack going off there. Going to roll it back here, try and figure out what happened. He has been gaining lap after lap, so into the bus stop we go, and it looks like he just outbrakes himself, gets on the grass, and barely misses getting tagged by Vining.
It looked like a good decision gone bad. They realized they weren't going to make the bus stop, so they went for that runoff area, but then they got their wheels on the grass and just spun, as you said, right across the track, and Vining's got to be probably taking their first breath since then about now.
Probably. Paul, you didn't see anything. It definitely didn't say round 1 Kyalami. I definitely didn't forget to change that out. Haha, don't stop asking questions. You know what's funny? I was like, hey, it's Tuesday. I'm gonna do this, and I did. And I got all of it, and my brain's just like, no, you're not. I could change it right now, actually, if I really wanted to.
It's just it's Kyalami round 3. That's all.
No, round 2.
The third portion of the sprint race that we ran.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, because we're doing more than just. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Okay, hold on. I gotta find it. Where is
Kyalami was busy, so we had to, well, replace it with this place.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, so I don't know what you're talking about. It says round 2 Watkins Glen. Ah, goodness.
Oh, see, now they're picking it. Now they're picking it. Yeah, we're trying to watch a race here, and people are picking at you. That's not fair. This is a great race heading down here.
It's okay. I get picked on all the time. I'm used to it. Oof, man, these guys. They know that the top 3 are basically just hot lapping at this point. So they're saying, hey, we'll give them a show. Right now, though, we hop back a little bit. Partez once again under attack from Cairns, who has been all over his bumper. What seems like for the last 3, 4, 5 laps here at the Glen. Honda on the inside, McLaren on the outside. There's just no room to go for a move, and for the time being, the 195 stays ahead for P11.
As they come out of the toe of the boot, they are still all over each other. There's a bit of space now. It's kind of back to that original 3. Michaels, Skyen, and Hearn, but we've got some other great races, but I'm having a really hard time drawing my eyes off of this one.
Well,
now we're slowly getting into the window where an undercut might be possible, and will be very realistic. Any earlier than this, and you'll definitely be losing too much pace in the second stint, but I think starting now, it might be actually worth thinking about trying an undercut by one of these guys, and we'll see if that turns out to actually be the case.
Not quite. They pass up the pit lane. Vining joining the party now. So 3, and is that Vining going? Looks like he might have just missed his break point or braked a bit early. I was about to say 3 German manufacturers, 1 British, and now it's just 2. So things are really starting to heat up. And again, Skiing with just amazing speed there out of the corner. And we're going to go door to door again down the, what I would call the backstretch. Actually, it's the backstretch. Down into the bus stop chicane. And just no move yet. Looks like a late lunge there for the Bentley. But still no dice as we've got drivers coming in.
We've had this situation a few times now. With Skirian running into the back, well, not into the back, but up to the back of Michaels in those fast sweeping corners just before the bus stop. But then, well, not being able to stay in the slipstream onto the straights. And the BMW shows its superiority on the straight. It definitely has a tiny bit more top speed than the Bentley around here.
Absolutely, and you see Michaels going through corners, almost jokingly leaving the door open and then just cutting back across to block off the run there that Skian could get. And he's been doing that lap after lap, and that's just throwing a wrench into the plans of the Bentley driver. Unfortunately, and still Hearn in hot pursuit, and Vining making up lost time. So even though he had a bit of an error at the start of this lap, he's made up nicely. And Skiing into the pit, so could this be the undercut? Oh, wait, hold on. How many other drivers are going? Is Michaels going in? No, Michaels is staying out along with Vining. So Skiing and Hearn, could this be the undercut?
Now it also depends on who has the better stop. I do believe Skiing still has a tiny bit of damage, so it's going to be important for him to, well, not repair that damage, because if he does, he will be staying a few seconds longer in the pits than Hearn, and will be losing their position. So that's something to, well, be aware of, to untick that box to repair the damage.
That's true. And where are their boxes? Oh, they're one after the other. This could get a little bit interesting as we hop back on track. Partez still having to deal with Kearns. This is now the P7 battle, but of course these two still having to pit. Down the inside it goes the McLaren, and what a launch that thing gets. One of the best cars here in ACC. The inside line though into the bus stop, and it's still gonna go the way of Partez.
I'm not surprised that the McLaren is good here. This track gets compared to, it's called the American Silverstone quite a bit, and I can absolutely see why. Those fast sweeping turns. We keep talking about the S's. They're really, I mean, they're curves, but they don't really count. You are on the throttle at the apex of turn one, and you're not off of it until you're going into the bus stop. And that whole ride up the hill, we were watching Skyen catch up and catch up and catch up, and I think as much as the power of the car, a lot of that was how well they were getting out of turn.
And I think Skyen's, well, chase has just ended because he has received a drive-through penalty. Not sure if that is for pit lane speeding, maybe it's for track limits just after or before the pit lane, but that is definitely putting an end to his charge.
I believe I saw pit lane speeding on the flash up.
That is an unusual penalty. Usually for pit lane speeding, you immediately get an SG30. Now, because of OOR rules, that DT or that eventual SG30 would be removed and replaced with a 10-second penalty, I believe.
Yes.
So fingers crossed they pick up on that and do that quickly. Because a 10-second penalty, it hurts, but it's definitely a lot better than that DT.
Yes.
Does Ian Barton into the pits as well. So that will send, I believe that was Hearn behind.
Ooh. And Barton was quite fast into that pit lane, and I think he realized it himself. He actually stopped right after the pits entry board. I'm not sure if that is going to help his case. It might be
it doesn't matter.
A speeding penalty for him as well.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. If you are even, we'll say a kilometer because we're here in Europe. If you're even one kilometer per hour over, you're getting a penalty regardless. It doesn't matter if it's like, oh, but officer, I was only half a mile an hour over the speed limit. It's like, you're over the speed limit, you're going to be getting a penalty. Now, I know there have been some instances where that hasn't happened for some drivers. I'm not fortunate enough to have that happen to me, which is unfortunate. Gunos, can we maybe make that happen? Wink, please. God, I'm begging you. But yeah, we'll have to see what happens. Skyen back into the pit, so it looks like he is going to serve his... Yeah, he's serving his drive-through, so just getting that done. I know you have 3 laps to serve it when it gets served to you, So out the other end he goes, and, well, there you go. He's now sitting P12, and
And Barton has received that elusive SG30 for pit speeding.
There it is. 1 kilometer per hour over the limit, and you are getting bopped. So most of the field already pitting. We still have Felion, Walker, Granius, Vining, Skelkins, and Partez, who have yet to pit. Now, the penalty has been removed from Barton, but the stewards are going to be replacing that very, very soon. There it is. The 5-second, and that should become a 10-second here shortly, unless rules have changed. Oh, no, there it is. So yeah, if you get the SG30, then it's going to be swapped for a 10-second. You just got to give the stewards a quick moment to change that.
Glen's penalty was definitely an interesting one, though, because the stewards... I'm not sure if the stewards were just not that quick to remove it, and Skøyen was not aware of that rule that it would be replaced with a 10-second penalty, or perhaps Skøyen actually did get a track limit penalty.
It could have been track limits, because I've seen it happen in pub lobbies where people continually go wide and eventually they get hit with the 10-second penalty. Your race leader into the pits, so Ryan Walker gonna match that and go into the pits as well. Same with Granius, who does have damage on that Ferrari. So we'll see what Vining and Skelkins and Partez do. Looking towards the racing line, looks like Vining is going to stay out. No, is he? Yes, he is. And then we've got quite a distance back to Skelkins and Partez. So we'll have to see if these guys go in, which will leave Vining the sole driver yet to pit.
Right.
Makes me wonder if during that incident in the bus stop he hasn't actually picked up any damage. I thought he did, but I'm not seeing any damage on him. He definitely seems to be comfortable with his car.
There's been a lot of 10 seconds coming in. Hearn with 10, Humans with 10, Barton with 10, and now Cairns with 10. So I don't want to assume that pit lane's causing some problems for these drivers, but I don't know. Felion on his way out finally. Walker parking it up. Same with Granius. Walker actually out of the pits now. Partez coming in. So the only drivers that have yet to pit are Skelkins and Vining. Vining just about a minute to go on this lap before he starts another one. And Skelkins a little over a minute. But right now, Felion will be promoted up into P1 once the 2 drivers in front of him pit, and then that'll be it. And I believe Lair also getting a 10-second penalty. And who was that off on the side of the road? That was I believe the green Mercedes of Barton? What was this all about? Oh, he got into an accident. It looks like with Skelkins. The Skelkins was off just up the road facing 90 degrees. So I'm wondering if they came together a little bit off camera.
6 10-second penalties in total now, so you can see this is a new track, and not everyone is all that familiar with, well, the breaking point for the pit entry.
I assume that's the end that it's on, because that pit entry sneaks up on you, especially, you know, your little sign with the 50 on it is actually hidden as you enter pit lane, so you know it's there, but you can, especially with the way you have to get off the track and into the pit entry here, you are on the racing line and you have to be going slower than you would if you were continuing straight on. So you're in a very sort of precarious position to start with, and then all of a sudden it's all about just getting on the brakes and getting down to first gear and getting down to 50k, and it's not much time to get that done.
Yeah, Skelkins.
And I hate to say it, but we might have another pit speeding penalty coming, because Vining, who has entered the pits, looked like he hasn't managed to engage his pit limiter in time, and he has actually sped up after the pit line.
Oh boy.
So that is going to be that's going to be interesting to watch if he comes out and receives another penalty. Would make it 7 pit speeding penalties in this race only.
Yeah, Skellions, when he went on the brakes, he rifled down through those gears. He was standing on the brake pedal. So there it is. Soon to be 7 10-second penalties. So I think if we get a few more, we could possibly save an entire lap of time. Or blues, depending on how you look at it. Quilio, hold on. So Quilio earlier in the race had to pit for damage, and now he has apparently lost. I know, because that happened before the pit window opened, right?
Yes, it did. Yeah.
All right, so then never mind. I'm not
19th
crazy.
place and still owe us a stop. So.
I know that has to be just absolutely gut wrenching, because you spend all this time and now you got to go and do it again. So Scallions is out on track and thankfully has not picked up a drive-through, but he's got to deal with a couple of cars battling Cairns and Skian. Cairns with that 10 seconds. So now that the pit stops have been shuffled, we've got some interesting work to do to pick out some battles, figure out who's with who and who's doing what. And obviously with a lot of these penalties, things are going to get a bit interesting towards the end of this race.
Skyen, Shelikins, and Partez, they've got to be having part of their brain right now doing the math to see where they actually are once these 10-second penalties are applied, because they're going to shoot up these rankings. 10 seconds here.
Viding's in the wall.
Vining's in the wall. Let's roll it back, see what happens. So this is, coming up towards the end of the lap, it looks like? Let's see.
Had a little slide through the left-hander just before the final corner and then bumped into the wall on the left. No, he was able to keep going, but that definitely looks like a bunch of damage to his rear end. And rear end damage on the Merc is not a fun thing to have.
Well, he almost saved it, too. He was doing a really good job there, and then, like you said, just hit the wall. Not enough room on the left-hand side. Probably, I'm not even going to try to pretend like I know what to do. So he's currently in a battle with Hearn. They both have a 10-second penalty, so they're actually fine, because Hearn has currently a 40-second gap to Partez. So this is actually a battle for P5 should things stay the way they are, as long as Partez doesn't catch up.
Man, I gotta thank the drivers for giving us so many 10-second penalties to calculate after this. It's gonna be fun to actually figure out the finishing positions.
This is why I'm a communications major, so I don't have to do math. This is what I keep telling people. This is why I'm in this
here we go. Tough luck.
It's great. It's great, but yeah, these guys. It always adds a layer of intrigue to the sport, just because you sort of have to figure out, especially when you get to parts of the track like Cairns and Humans, you see the 10-second and you say, all right, how does that factor into the guy behind? Same with Lair, he's going to drop a few positions, and I feel like when you get races where it seems like every other driver has a penalty, and you have this big group of cars, and maybe you have some that have 10 seconds, some that have 5, someone might have like a 20 in there. I feel like that can really start messing with your head, because now you have to, not only do you have to say, okay, well, this guy's going to lose this position, you have to realize, is he going to lose more positions? Is he going to lose less positions? Is something going to cancel out? So hopefully we don't see that, but it is looking possible.
One of the things that can happen is you get stuck behind somebody with a penalty, but they're holding you up. You're going to beat them at the end of the race, but they're preventing you from catching the person in front that you legitimately are racing for position. And it can get frustrating, and that's when those bad decisions start getting made, and bad decisions at the end of the race with worn out tires and worn out tempers. That's where we see the real cream rise to the top, because they will still be able to go door to door and still race fair, clean and fast, and then shake hands when it's all over and say see you next week.
Absolutely. So Barn into the pits. Looks like he's trying to serve that 10-second penalty. I don't really know if that's the best idea right now. Skian still racing there like there's no 10-second penalty hanging overhead. And is that Partez? Partez? Yeah, he's looks like he's losing a bit of time, as we've got quite the group forming here, from Lair all the way down to, I believe that is the Audi, or not the Audi, excuse me. Actually, no, it's the Audi of Ferrari, or not Ferrari. What am I looking at? It's a blue car. It's a BMW. Okay, I wasn't even close. I can car.
But there's a bunch. You're right. There is a really, it's really tightening up there. It's all for position. If we set aside all those 10-second penalties, although most of them are in that batch, But it's kind of like that moment where everybody's taking a breath. We're coming down to 20 minutes left. It's what have I got left? Where am I faster? This is where we start getting into that closing phase, the end game, I guess you'd call it in chess, where this starts to be about brains as much as how much car you've got.
We've also got a little battle forming between Vining and Hearn for P5, with both of them having a 10-second penalty. So I'm definitely gonna keep an eye on that and inform you if something happens. But Hearn at a very good position to maybe, challenge Vining for P5, with Vining having that, let's say, medium damage to the rear.
Yeah, and if we look at the last laps, Michaels had a 46.1, and then Vining had a 45.4, and Hearn with a 45.3. So they definitely are faster, but with that 10-second, it doesn't really matter all that much. So yeah, we'll leave Simon to this as we continue to fall back here, Lair. Once again, falling under pressure from Skelkins, even though 10-second penalty. Skelkins doesn't really have to worry as he goes a little too inside over the bus stop and actually is going to lose out on some time here to Parks and Cairns. Parks, no penalty. Cairns with a 10-second and Vischer behind without a penalty. So a little bit more reshuffling to do here at the end of the race in just about 20 minutes.
It's hard to believe we've still got 20 minutes left. Just waiting now.
Barton's still in the pits. Huh. Interesting. Definitely let you know about that one, and when we get some more info, see what happens. We still don't have our penalty bot, still on vacation. So I don't know. What are the flights? Where did we say it was, like Guam or something? Aruba? I don't know what the flights are out of there. I've never been there. I'm assuming they take a little bit, or maybe he's by boat.
It is right here. Saudis, it is right here. He doesn't need to go anywhere if you were looking for heat. But we have got. We were talking about the lap times just a couple of seconds ago, and Belgium is at it again. Their last lap was 43.9. Nobody else is below 44. So,
and he's
just casually knocking out fastest laps out at the front. 22 laps into this race.
And he's a 10th up, so we could see another fastest lap improvement. And we've got more penalties. Hearn with 15. Partez picking up 5. 5 more for Cairns. 5 for Ferraria. 5 for Quelia. It's just, okay. It's just, it's going off. A 43.72, though. I fell in. Just faster and faster. No one can catch him. And we'll see what the gap is here to Mr. Ryan Walker. It's currently creeping over 10 seconds. This has been an absolute thrashing by the Norwegian.
Walker is just going into the final corner now.
Oh my god, that is...
Belgian is almost to the bus stop.
He is 13 seconds.
Half a lap.
Close to half a lap. Well, according to the broadcast controller, the gap is about 12, almost 13. I don't know if I trust that.
Oh, it has to be bigger than that.
Oh, absolutely.
And it's hard to say, by the way, whether Walker is sort of losing pace, sort of struggling right now, or if Granes is on a mission, because Granes is quickly catching up to Walker. He's now only just over a second behind, and I think we could have a battle for P2 very soon.
Yeah,
they've got a whole section of track to themselves. That's gonna be a free for all.
So we have a bit of information about these penalties from Moritz Wagner. It says a lot of these 10-second time penalties were for out of position at the start. The 5 seconds are for pit entry and exit violations. So that is interesting because we had a bit of an excavation effort at the start there from one of our drivers who was disconnected. So I'm wondering if that's caused all of these these 10-second penalties, and that's going to leave us to wonder how is it going to, if it's going to get sorted out by the stewards or not, unless this was something completely different. But yeah, I believe it was, no, I don't think it was Quelo. I don't think it was someone else. I think it was a red car that we saw looking a little bit messy,
embedded in the track.
yeah, just, casually digging to the center of the earth. Wasn't that a movie, Journey to the Center of the Earth?
Yes, and a book before that, believe it or not. But but I can absolutely see
Wow.
that messing up the starting order because there's you're to maintain a very specific gap. You're supposed to be within one car length of the car in front
Oh,
of you.
that might be what it is. Okay.
But if the car in front of you disappears, if everybody on that side closed that gap, then they were all one row too far forward. I'm guessing. I haven't seen the replay, but I can see how that would happen.
Well, Mr. Ben Keogh telling us that the penalties are applied by the stewards, which is true because
Ah,
I have seen people in public lobbies just pull off to the side and let everyone through, and you're like, oh boy, free position. You're like, never mind. I see why you're doing that. So that's interesting. Okay, so I don't think we've had any more changes per se in penalties. I believe everyone's still rocking what they've got. Hearn with 15, Vining with 10, Partez with 5, Lair with 10. It's 15 for Cairns, 15 for Humans, 5 for Ferreira, excuse me. 10 for Hendricks, 5 for Gallo. And Barton's still in the pit, so I think Barton may have parked it for the day and just waiting for time to tick down, which is always unfortunate. But we have quite a lot of math to do here, it seems like.
we've still got a quarter of this race to go as well. Another thing is, these penalties will not just affect this race. We're using a driver point system this year, and you will accumulate points based on the number of penalties and the severity of those penalties. And at certain levels, there will be certain consequences. I'm not going to get into the details, but it is possible that you would be, missing qualifying sessions and/or even an entire round if you are adjudged as to having committed too many penalties over too short a period of time. So not only does it penalize them for today, but it can make future races more difficult for them as well.
Oh, and Grandes is right on the back of Walker right now. We're coming out of turn 1. We're going into that that fast section just before the bus stop. And Grandes definitely wants to get past. We've already seen him flash at Walker to make sure he knows he's there. But he had to lift off a tiny bit through that twisty section, so not enough straight line speed right now to, well, really challenge Walker. But on the next lap, I think that's going to be different.
Yep, you can see the front end of the Aston a little bit scraped up. Same with the left front. So
that explains a lot.
Yeah, so perhaps Walker knows this, as his Ferrari's looking pretty darn clean there as we head into, I believe it's sector 2 of the track. Let's already passed it. I'm trying to remember where the sector lines are. Doesn't matter though, because this is where the battle's at. No penalties between these two. Knock on wood. Hold on. There we go. Just got to make sure. So hopefully nothing happens with these two. Hopefully some clean, fun racing by the end. Respectful racing. Still 13.5 left on the clock. So plenty of time for a move to be made. Like you said earlier, Simon, Granius is going to be looking to get around Walker as soon as he can, because he knows once he's around, it's just about getting the throttle down, getting these laps out, building the gap up, and hopefully collecting worthy P2 as they go into the final corner once again to start another lap. You can see just how wide Ryan Walker is going to try to just gain any time he can, but I don't know how much is left in that Aston. I don't know if he can keep it pinned down long enough.
Here we go. A lot of time for Granes to well, catch up to Walker in that slipstream now. Let's see if he can pose a challenge into the bus stop.
Be interesting. The Ferrari very strong here, as we've seen. If Fellion's given us anything to work off of. Slipstream, Walker just pulling right to the middle of the road, not really giving Granius a chance to line anything up properly. And
yeah, despite the damage, that straight line speed on the Aston is just too much for the Ferrari to deal with right now, it seems.
Feels a little sacrilegious to say this is a Ferrari we're talking about. You know, the car that's like designed to go fast in a straight line. It just feels weird saying that.
True, but you saw how little he actually caught up in that slipstream.
That's true. He didn't really do much. Peeks to the inside. No room there.
Seems that Granes is gonna have to, well, utilize some tricks to get past Walker and not just rely on slipstream on a straight line.
No,
You mean
pulls
the magic
out.
flashing headlights aren't going to work?
No, he's not a lapped car, so it won't work that time. And this isn't a rally stage where apparently they flash the lights on the cars all the time to keep animals off the road. I didn't know that. I thought that was just for show.
For 9th. In fact, we've had, I believe it was possibly Parks has outbraked themselves heading into the bus stop. We've got a great race still going between Shellican and Parks. Pardon me, it must be Liar or Cairns.
Possibly.
Had an issue.
Who was it? Liars and Cairns, you said?
I believe so. I just caught it out of the back. I was watching the battle.
Oh, I think, yeah, they've lost some time, so now they're trying to deal with that. But right now, just hopping back up front. Walker's starting to build a bit of a gap here, even with that damage. He knows he's got...
Did attempt to throw a little bit of a fake dive bomb, I would call it, into turn 1, which definitely slowed him down a bunch because Walker was able to just keep his normal line.
Nerves of steel from this man, so we'll see. The last lap was a 46.172 for Walker and then a 46.125 for Grania, so these guys getting kind of friendly with each other. So things are heating up. We're getting battles sort of all over the place. Scallion still dealing with Parks behind, and then you've got quite the penalty pack behind Partezlair and Vischer. Vischer will actually benefit from all of these if he can keep within 5 seconds of Partez. He will get a rather comfortable and stress-free P10, but currently he's got 10 minutes to go, and we've got a lot of racing to do. Oh no, he may not be close enough to Partez, so he may only settle for a P10 or P11, but hopefully he can find some more pace in that BMW.
Also noticing we're starting to see quite a few more off track. I'm sure people pushing harder, people trying to make up for penalties, tires fading. It's getting to that time. We're under 10 minutes. This is, when you've got your crew chief in your ear saying it's time to go. If you've got anything left, I need to see it now. We're getting there, and second and third have certainly gotten the message.
Yeah, this is the thing we notice with a lot of these longer form races. Usually the last 10 or so minutes is when people start really getting antsy. I know with the super sprint races, we have the 20 and the 40. The 20 minute is just sort of your standard, pub lobby brawl until you cross the finish line, and then that 40 is when people will take their time, take a step back, get the car going, and then once they're in that rhythm, just wait for that final 10 minutes. But, I don't know what it is with 10 minutes. I feel like for some drivers it just flies by, and for some it couldn't fly by fast enough. So we'll see what can happen here, as it looks like I think we just had a bit of a change. Okay, here we go. This is getting interesting now. So Scallions and Parks pulling away, as is tradition, and I thought we had 3 wide for a second. This is finding Partezlair and the Audi, or in Cairns, excuse me. Cairns got an excellent run, so despite these penalties, things are going to get very, very interesting very quick. And Lair almost into the back of the McLaren there. Thankfully not. Oh, I think we have a back marker here somewhere in the mix. Oh, it's Vining. Okay.
What has happened to him is what I'm wondering right now. Yeah. Look at how much slower he is than everyone else. He had to have another little incident, another crash that, damaged his car even more. Otherwise, I am not explaining that.
Yeah, the hood's up.
Oh. That is definitely a bunch of front damage if the hood is up on the Merc. That hurts, and you can see it really, really hurt his pace.
Oh, it's Quailio that's in this mix. Okay, I was confused. I don't know why I thought Vining was the back marker when he wasn't. So Quailio.
Oh, he is?
Yeah, apparently.
Massively off pace.
Ooh, Ryan Walker. So, Ryan Walker, same sort of situation as Vining with that popped hood, but not enough for too much damaging performance, and Grania's still chipping away. He was at one point about this close to Walker, and then that fake dive bomb you talked about earlier, Simon, and popped him back, but just keeping his head down, banging out these laps, and this could be the overtake here. So Here we go, door to door. Ryan Walker on the inside line. Up through this blind right-hander. Very scary. Grania's just slotting back in. He is not done yet. He has 6.5 to go here. Bit of a slipstream. Looks to the outside corner. Maybe a little bit of a switcheroo here, but not close enough. So we could be seeing something into this next lap if things play out. But if Walker can keep those nerves of steel, he might be good.
Walker's doing an impressive job with that damaged Aston right now.
Absolutely. It's insane to see.
This is some great driving, and I just want to mention, yes, chat, we may very well been, I'm not sure if the grid and pit penalties count towards penalty points. That's a very good point. I'm not sure.
Oh, this is getting very, very dicey. Grania's down the inside. You saw how much Walker was pushing him over to the inside line, but Walker is not done yet, not by a long shot. They go door to door here through turns 2 and 3, using the inside line of their corners, and then banking on the outside line, messing their opponents up as we go on to the backstretch. It is Walker as far right as he dares. Grania's having to pull back to the left, and then to the middle goes the Aston Martin. Through the bus stop we go. Grania's is just having to work so incredibly hard for this position. Walker doesn't want to give it up.
You can see that straight line speed on the Aston, but also the actually really impressive defense from Walker. He was defending the insides, but not all the way, which kind of invited Granis to, attempt that overtake on, well, the most extreme insides, which briefly got him past Walker, but it obviously compromised his exit so much that Walker could immediately strike back.
Very
it's a perfect positioning from Walker there, I gotta say.
Absolutely, no, 100%. He's been on this the entire time this has been going down. We saw it for a while. It was quite the gap between them by several seconds, and then Grania's just slowly reeling him in bit by bit. But now that he's caught up, he's having troubles. Maybe that Aston is a little bit wider than he remembers. I know it's not the widest car in the grid, but certainly must feel like it.
They're coming back into that first corner, which is one of the places to pass on this track. But as we saw, in doing so, you can compromise your exit, get repassed on the way. I think we're going to see it again here. Staying on that inside line, the Aston stays on the track, gets a better pull out of that corner, and in the long run, by the time we get to the top of this hill, it's going to be out in front again.
Absolutely.
Although this time, the Ferrari has managed to get in behind it and get a little pull, so we might see 2 passes on one section before we even get to them.
Granis actually had to lift a tiny bit in there to not just plow straight into the back of Walker in those corners.
Yeah, you saw how far over to the right side he pushed him. You saw, because Walker knows that Granis is really going for these inside line passes. He's not doing too much outside, but he's forcing the issue. Down they go. I thought Granis might have been a bit closer. He's on the grass there for just a split moment, thankfully keeping his car together. But yeah, this is what Walker knows. He knows that Granis is favoring those inside lines, so rather than say, hey, I'll take the racing line through this corner, he's just going to force him to go the long way around and then just catch him on the exit. I mean, this is incredible strategy.
It's hard to say if Granis is actually attempting overtakes on the inside or if he's just trying to scare Walker into going wide or making a mistake. But at this point, I've seen Granis do it so many times that Walker surely, at this point, knows what Granis is up to behind him. And we can see that.
Yeah, you saw the little bit of a peek down the inside just for a moment there to try and spook the number 97 driver. But again, just hanging in there. So another lap we go with these two down the front straight. Walker being pursued by Granias and just picking to the inside line later on the brakes, but not close enough. He is just not giving up. Ryan Walker making Granias fight for every little bit of road and then just taking it all away when he can. This is going to come down to the wire if they keep it up, and onto the backstretch we go again.
Out in front, Felgen driving off, and these driving in the low 47s right now, and everybody behind them is in the 45s or even low 46s. So, never mind. They haven't got enough time left. There's only a couple minutes left. I just checked. But
we'll have
these
one
two
more
have
lap. I believe we should have one more lap. No, we don't. No, this will be the last lap because Felion currently 140 on the timer for him. So this will be the last lap. Yep, there's the call over the radio. Everyone's getting the call. It's time to go. Granez knows he's got one more shot at this.
For everyone who is in front of Felgen, though, on track, there is going to be one more lap. So I think Walker and Granez have one more chance to, well, fight this fight.
They do. As they come across the line the next time, it'll be the white flag for them. And will be interesting to see what can happen if Granez maybe gets a little bit desperate and goes for a move, or if he perhaps waits until the very last possible second, banking on Walker making a mistake, or if he can just get a better launch out of a corner, but it's going to be tight.
Exactly the opposite happened. In fact, Granez was the one now given up, but for now is almost a 3/10 gap. Is huge compared to what they've been running the last couple of laps, but we are heading into turn 1 again. It'll close up right here.
Granez just, he fakes to the inside, like he gets pushed over by Walker and then pulls in behind Walker again to say, okay, fine, I'll sit behind you, but then he fakes the inside. He's done that for the last 3 or 4 laps, and Walker has seen it every single time. I think it's losing its charm. And onto the backstretch again, you can just see Granez, I mean, he can't go down the inside because the Aston Martin is there. Through the bus stop we go. Once again, behind, it's gonna be Granez, and he's getting pushed way, way outside. A little bit of a slide there. Keeps it neat and tidy. As they go door to door, you can see the Audi up ahead, and is that Granez getting the move done? No, he's not. On the inside line, though, this is incredible racing, and there it is on the last lap. Granez getting the move done, but he's not quite done yet. He's still got about a minute to go. This could end in tears as he gets a little bit loose there, goes out wide, and here comes Walker. Door to door, and they touch. It's, oh my god, this is all going off. Walker does not have the inside line for the next corner. It's good, or no, Granez doesn't have the inside line. This is absolutely incredible, running each other out wide onto the grass. And Granez into the wall. Ryan Walker, he pushed him way, way, way outside. This may be something the stewards look at.
For sure, yeah. This was such perfect racing for such a long time without any incidents, but right on the last lap, the nerves just got to them.
Absolutely.
33 2/3 of laps of excellent racing. Unfortunately, it ended with that. But at the front, Felgen walked away 55 seconds, the final gap. To put, and I believe to put an exclamation point on it, their second to last lap was in the 43s.
I think dominant is what we can call that.
Absolutely. Yeah. I completely forgot he existed, if I'm being totally honest. I was just like, oh, why does it say 2 for this guy? That's peculiar. David Michaels coming across. Daniel Hearn putting that Porsche into the scrapyard skiing. Everyone else with where they were on track is able to cross the line, so we still have Ferraria, who's not looking pretty in the Audi right now. I'm sure that was something that happened off screen. The steering completely, yeah, you can see, despite the fact the wheel's all the way to the right, car's going to the left. So he'll be the last one to cross the line, but I gotta say, what a race we had.
That was exceptional. It's everything I expected. Very, very good quality of driving. Lots of patience. For the most part. I mean, it wouldn't be auto racing everybody with patient all the time, but overall exceptional race, and looking forward to seeing Barcelona next week, right?
No, it's the Hungaroring actually.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Yep, so we're gonna take a quick peek here at the race results after everything is done. So it's Felion on top, Walker and Granez 2 and 3 on the podium. This may get switched around at the end from the stewards. We'll just have to wait and see how things go in the Pro-Am category. It's Walker, Granez skiing again Penalties, we'll have to wait and see. Let you guys know. For the amateurs, it's going to be Vischer and Ferreira. And then for our drivers who have yet to receive their rating, Parks, Hendrickson, and Guerrero. But ladies and gentlemen, that is going to do it for us tonight here at the Glen. So we've got a week to prepare for next week's race at, I believe it is the Hungaroring, unless I am, no, it is the Hungaroring. So we'll be back August 11th for that race. But gentlemen, closing thoughts before we head on out.
That race had everything. I can see why people hype up Watkins Glen as much as they do. It's gotta be not only beautiful to drive yourself, but that was beautiful to watch. And hey, I was on the edge of my seat for most of that race. I gotta give props to every single driver who finished here, especially I gotta say Coelho, who had, well, a pretty painful moment in turn 1, but as demotivating as that has to be, he finished the race, he got to the end, he actually, I think, made up 2 positions at the end. So to, well, have such a terrible incident in turn 1 and then still come back from it, that's pretty impressive.
I hope that it was kind of an eye-opener seeing that Watkins and the other DLC tracks weren't necessarily as popular. It makes sense as soon as I say it out loud, but in Europe and in the Asia Pacific region as they are in the North American region. So it was really nice to see some people getting to see it for the first time, or maybe seeing the race on it for the first time. Those of us that are in North America have been racing it hard since the day it came out. So I'm looking forward to later tonight. We've got our North American races, later tonight, North America time. We've got those 2 races coming up as well. So it's going to be a busy but fun day, I think.
Couldn't have said it better myself, gentlemen. But ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and our viewers all over the world, that is going to do it for the European split here tonight. I will be back later for the North American split, along with Mr. Kevin Parody. We could see Jeff Spangler again, but it'll be sort of up in the air for the time being. But on behalf of myself, Kevin, Simon, and everybody here at the OOR, we'd like to thank you once again for your continued support. Stay safe, stay beautiful. Have a great night, everybody. We're off next week, so we'll see you in 2 weeks' time at the Hungaroring.